Hey, you guys. It's been a bit, hasn't it? We got hit by COVID. Emily and I went to a wedding. One of Emily's cousins got married. It was a nice wedding. We had a great time. Beautiful setting. But we came home with a little gift. Actually, Emily came home with it. She got it 2 days after the wedding, and I got it from her 2 days after that. And it was interesting because I got it at night, and that first night I kind of had a sore throat. That was about it. And then the next morning I woke up and I had the body aches and the chills, no fever. Felt like I had a fever. I was surprised that I didn't, but I felt like I got hit by a truck that day. I mean, it was the worst day. And then the next morning I woke up and I was 90% better. And I thought, well, that was easy. Well, no, not really. That is when, or about a day later, the brain fog and the fatigue set in, and I could not I still have it, but I couldn't shake it for a long time. Emily either. Now, Noah got this as well, same time I did. And his was a headache for about 3 hours and a little bit of sniffles. That was it. But the brain fog and the fatigue are still with me a little. They're almost gone, but I have been able, the whole time I had this, I mean, I was barely able to even get out and water the garden. Like, that was a major accomplishment for the day. So I did keep it all watered. In fact, look at that. Last time you saw this, it was pretty much dirt. I planted all of this about 2 days before the wedding, before we got sick. And so I really just tried to maintain for the last 2 weeks. And now it's really growing well, and I'll take you on a little tour here in a second. But I have been out here cleaning up. We have that professional film crew coming for me to teach that online class, which you'll all hear about hopefully very soon. They'll be here this coming Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. 3 full days of filming. I have no idea how that's going to go because I'm just not used to something like that. It's usually me and my camera right here. So I'm a little bit freaked out that there's going to be like people standing around with jobs watching me. You know, you million people, I don't really think about when I'm here. It's just me and myself. But yeah, that's going to be an experience. But I have been cleaning up. I finally got my tomatoes strung. So let's actually start off there. So my tomatoes, you guys know what kind of a problem I've had with my soil and, you know, getting that fixed. And now the tomatoes are finally growing and in the ground, and the strings and hooks are attached. I cannot believe how far behind I am, but I'm actually just glad that everything's planted and everything's growing. So I've got some sun gold cherry tomatoes here. Most of these are Kellogg's breakfast. And then I've got my traditional row of basil along the front. I have some butternut squash that I'm growing up these strings. I've got some cucumbers that I'm growing up these strings, and I'm going to do a video on this because I can't believe I've never done a cucumber video before, especially using the string method. So stay tuned for that. When these get a little bit bigger and I have a little bit more to show, I'm going to do a video on growing cucumbers. The corn that I planted as a test for the graze on is actually doing really, really well. We're about 4 feet, a little over 4 feet. I'm 6 foot. So this is almost 5 feet tall. So in the bed with the corn, I have some zucchini, which honestly, zucchini I've got coming out my ears. This is crazy. At our old house, we didn't have a lot of bees, and so my zucchini rarely ever got pollinated. And so we had to have a bunch of plants just to get a few. So I planted 4 or 5 zucchini plants here. Well, apparently we have plenty of bees because I'm picking like 5 zucchinis a day. We can't keep up with them. So in the bed next to the corn and that zucchini, we've got eggplant. Got some there. We've got a couple different kinds. Some cucumbers, which I'm growing on the ground. Now these actually, oh, there's a nice one right there. So I'm going to try the difference between the ones growing on the ground and then the ones growing up the strings. Right here, I've got a honey nut squash, and it's kind of like a little butternut, but sweeter. When you roast them, they're delicious. And I just wanted to make a public service announcement. You see these leaves, how they look? They look a little mildewy, right? Or if you take a look over here at the zucchini, they've got these white splotches on them. So a lot of people think that they've got powdery mildew, but that's not the case. Powdery mildew comes in little round specks that get bigger. When you see something like this and it's more of a patterning on the leaf, that's not something to be worried about. That's just the natural pattern and coloring of the leaves. Right here I've got a little spoon tomato plant, and the tomatoes are really tiny on this one, and actually very sweet. The skin is a little thick, so they're not wonderful, but they are a sweet flavor. Got some echinacea here, which I'm not sure why it looks like this. I've got another one down on the bottom, and it looks the same way. Lots of cosmos throughout. I love cosmos. They're one of my favorite companion plants. Thai basil as well. I've got several of those. And here I've got some bush beans. I think this is Great Northern White. And this here is pinto, which has really been producing like crazy. And I try to get them before they get too dry, because once they dry, the plant is like, okay, we've made our seeds, we can now die and stop producing. So with pinto beans, I'm going to be using them as dry beans. You want to pick them when they just start to turn a little yellow, like this right here. Let me hop down to the next terrace, and I've got on the top terrace, I've got some scarlet runner beans that are just getting going. They're just starting to climb. Down here, I've got some Blauhilde beans, which have purple stems and purple beans, and then another TP there of the scarlet runners. Now you might see some snakes here in my bed. They're not real, and they do freak me out every once in a while. But if you look, you can see all of my okra has been eaten by the squirrels. Both sides. That started as soon as I put them out, about a week or so before we got sick. And Paula, creator of my Facebook group, she had snakes in her garden, rubber snakes for birds. And she said they really do work. So I thought, well, maybe they'll work for squirrels. And guess what? For 2 weeks, week and a half maybe, they did. As soon as I put them out, the squirrels stopped. But I wasn't out here to keep moving the snakes around enough. And so a couple nights ago, I came out here and they were all nibbled off again. So we've had several batches of okra decimated by the squirrels. So now I think it's time to start trapping them. Otherwise, I'm not gonna have anything. All right, so in a second tier, I've got a row of orange bell peppers. Oh no, these are Anaheim peppers actually. And do they need water? Let me feel it. Let me do the finger test. So they don't need water. They do look wilty, but this is a lesson. We had a hot day today, and the sun just went behind the mountain, and so they're kind of recovering from that. But that doesn't mean they need water. They're just hot and droopy. Over the nighttime, they're going to regain their composure and be fine in the morning. I'll test again. I will probably water tomorrow because I've been doing an every other day schedule. I still, because a couple days after I put the drip system in and made a video about it, we got sick. So I still don't have that hooked up. I've still been having to come out here and water by hand, which is annoying when I'm sitting there looking at the drip tape laying there that's not able to be used. I've got some more Great Northern White beans here. There's that other echinacea. The flowers look good. Not perfect, but I'm not sure why they always look like they need water. Over here, I've got several orange bell pepper plants. Do I have any peppers on here yet? Yep, there's one right there. And then this bottom row, the bottom terrace, is it's pretty much time, especially these two beds. This is my potatoes, so it's time to harvest them, and I'll try to do a video on that. I really don't know what I'm going to get out of this because these potatoes were planted in the salty compost and they just kind of struggled their way through. So I'm assuming we're probably going to get some potatoes, but they're probably going to be small because I don't think they really started growing until I got that salt leached out of these beds. Let me jump down here and give you a little view up toward the house. So it is not where I thought it would be at this time of year, that's for sure. But that's okay. We have a long growing season, and we'll get there. There's one of my little friends. But the rabbit fencing has worked. I showed you that on a previous video. Just used 2 feet of chicken wire, black chicken wire, just so it doesn't show up very well. And that goes all the way around the perimeter of this entire garden. It's hard to see by design, but that has kept the rabbits out. There hasn't been one rabbit that's gotten in here since I put the fence up. And boy, he's not scared at all. You're brave. Anyway, so I said I had some exciting news, and it's exciting news for me and hopefully for some of you who are semi-local down here, maybe in San Diego County, Lower Riverside County. I know a few of you said you were going to drive in from Los Angeles County and Orange County, which means a lot to me. We finally got a book signing and meet and greet scheduled here locally. It is going to be on Saturday, July 23rd. It's going to be in Poway, California, at my absolute favorite garden center that I've found down here so far, Walter Anderson Nursery. I'm going to leave the details down in the video description. And I would love to know if that is something you're going to be able to make it to. I would love to see as many of you as possible. We don't really have a lot of chances to meet and greet, right? So what they asked me to do, every Saturday, Walter Anderson Nursery has a class taught by somebody. And so that day is my day. I'm going to be teaching a short class on companion planting to go with my book. And then the second half of our time there will be spent meeting you guys, doing any book signings that need to be done, and just meeting each other. I mean, I'm really excited for that. Again, that is July 23rd, which is a Saturday at Walter Anderson Nursery in Poway. It's 9:30 a.m. And so let me know down in the video comments if you guys would be able to make it. I would love to know. And, you know, how many people would be coming with you? Just so I can kind of give the nursery a heads up and they can be prepared. So I am on the mend. We will be getting back into videos. I think it's been about 2.5 weeks since my last video, which I hate, but I really needed to make sure I got better. My brother-in-law had COVID and he relapsed, and it was actually worse when it came back than when he first had it. And for anyone who's asking, I've been asked already on Facebook if I've been vaccinated and if I've had the boosters. I'm not answering that question because whichever answer I give, I'm going to get hate for it. And so all I know is I know people personally who've been vaccinated and boosted who got it and got it pretty bad. And I know plenty of people who haven't been vaccinated or boosted that didn't get it at all, even when it was in their own house. So it is what it is. We got it. We're getting over it. I did need to just take as much time as I needed to take that time off. I have a busy week coming up, but we're going to get back into videos next week. I hope you all have a great weekend planned. Hope I'll get to see quite a few of you in 2 weeks at Walter Anderson in Poway. Bye, guys. Stay well and have a good weekend.